Okay, it's looking like we are live.
Cool.
Oops, forgot to grab my phone, darn it. Um, I'd like to have it so I can watch comments. So welcome everybody to this week's Midlife Girl Chat. How's everybody doing? Um, I'm on here tonight with Sharon Buck, and Sharon is, I don't know, I want to say musician in of a way. Um, and sound and music just do so much for us. So I'm going to let Sharon introduce herself, tell us about what she does, and we'll go from there.
Cool. Thanks for having me, Kim.
You're welcome.
We actually get some sun here and some warm temperatures on the Northwest Pacific Northwest, so we're very appreciative right now. Yeah, I'm actually a professional musician in background. That's my training. Classically trained and have had, I'll say have had, I still do a little bit of professional singing, but professional music career and performing with orchestras and things like that. And I just always naturally gravitated to sound. I mean, I think I was born with it, and my parents saw it in me early, so I got into music lessons very early and was hooked. And the thing that always impressed me was, I think it kind of hit me how people were moved emotionally one way or another through the music that I shared, or that any of us really share, but with something that I played or I sang, because with words it's even more powerful. You
Mhm.
convey emotion with the voice. It's very personal, and people feel it and they respond. And I was really struck with that. And so when I started more focusing on sound healing or sound therapy, which has it's more of a in evolving but becoming very popular modalities now in that area to address everything from emotional to physical health. And we see this kind of evolving out of music therapy. Music therapy is a way to use music to help people, but this now is using more vibration specific frequencies to address. In some ways you don't know the outcome, but the idea is that it's a little more specific perhaps. But even music therapy can be specific. People will choose, music therapists will choose something that's a familiar piece for somebody who's struggling with Alzheimer's, and they respond. So, what is it about that, and how are we? What is it that we're wired this way? We were just talking about noise and
Mhm.
sound and the absence of noise and all of that. So I mean, I could talk about talk and talk for a while on any of this, because it's just fascinating to me to see the results that come from certain work with sound, particular
Right.
works. Yeah.
Nice. And it's always, I've done a couple, well, just the group sessions there in Serenity Circle. And then doing that one retreat with you there a few weeks ago. And it's just always amazing. I think one of the, so I have to say, one of the Serenity Circle sessions you did, I spent more time watching you play it all than like actually, I think really focusing on it, because I was just like, it's so cool to watch everything that you're doing too. Um,
That's funny because people say, well, nobody's watching because they're kind of
right.
meditative state or whatever, sleeping or whatever. And I go, well, you never know.
That was like the only time, because usually I'm like really into it and in that state. But I don't
Mm-mm.
know, one day I was just like, how does everybody like, because you're jumping from bowl to chime to gong to, and I just like, and I got so fascinated, I forgot to like
Eh,
actually. But otherwise, I just love doing it. Um, so, I like to talk about in midlife we experience stress so much more easily than we may at other times in our lives, just because hormones are crazy. And as our not stress, sex hormones are dropping, our stress hormone actually kind of becomes the king of it all, the cortisol. And so we stress so easily, and stress just does so much damage to our body to a
yeah.
point. To a point, we want stress, but we need to be able to do it and be out of it. And, I think, was it last week, one week? I was talking with somebody, I think it was last week, and we were like, we wear stress as a badge of honor here. Like who has the most stress? Who can do the most things? And it's not good for us. And as we hit midlife, it's going to start wearing on you. So being able to listen to the stress, the music, and start releasing some of that stress.
We can actually hear stress actually when we're working with tuning forks. We can, I was going to say, with the more specific work that I do called biofuel tuning, we're actually, the tuning forks will respond and you will hear stress. It'll go sharp and really loud and go "Meow," like it'll
Oh,
be very
wow.
annoying. And yeah, and the tuning fork will also sound sad if we hit sadness in the energy field of the person we're working on. So it really does show up in sound. So that I
Mhm.
just had to kind of throw that in.
No,
But yeah, mhm.
I said, that's awesome.
Yeah, physiologically, you're absolutely right. And so as our hormones and our bodies, change, all of a sudden we're stressed more easily, perhaps, or fly off the handle. I know for me, I got very, very emotional. Lots of sadness came up, and as I went down the rabbit hole, discovering also how that tied in with a lot of generational trauma,
Yeah.
which I knew about, but all of a sudden I started to feel it in my body. So this is just coming to me as we're talking, and I'm realizing that was a big turning point for me to realize that a lot of the sadness I carried in my body wasn't even mine. It was generational.
Wow.
And because my dad was orphaned in the World War II, and my my mother had terrible situation growing up as well. So there were just a lot of stresses and things that affected them, that not to mention their parents. But all of this feeding into how we feel about ourselves, how we relate to others, and how we feel about our bodies. And also this whole idea of I was going to say the parasympathetic part of our being, which, as you know, is really important. That's the rest and digest piece versus the sympathetic, which is fight, flight, freeze, fawn, which is all these other more survival instinct
Yeah.
pieces that come up. So, yeah, especially in the stressful world and the noisy world that we live in, it's super important to find some peace, some quiet, something, some practice that can bring you back to yourself. And if that's sound, that's great. That's the work I love to do. And I live in a nature, in the woods here on an island. That's for a reason, because I love the nature sounds and I love quiet. So all of those things feed us, and it's really important, especially in midlife, to nurture that part. Yeah,
Well, I
for our
always think
health.
about like the beach is my happy place. I always say it's my happy place, but just it's the sound, the waves, the water
Hmm.
crashing in, and um to just go sit in the sun with my feet in the sand, grounding too, and then just
Yes.
listen to the waves coming in. Just I leave in such a whole different state as when I got there. And
Yeah,
I
I have a little piece of trivia. Well, it's not trivia, just something I learned today. That ocean waves are generally around 12 cycles a minute, uh, and that's similar to our breathing cycle. So
hmm,
when we're sleeping as human
okay,
beings. So that's why ocean waves have this super calming, kind of almost this relaxing, sleep inducing kind of thing. And
never
I
did.
didn't actually know that. And that helps us regulate our cardiovascular, our endocrine, and our nervous systems. Wow,
Wow.
thought that was
Because I
fascinating.
live near Lake Michigan, and so it's a huge lake. For anybody who's not around here, like you think of a lake, you see across it, you cannot, I don't know how many miles across it is, so you can't see the other side. And so we get some rocking waves here sometimes. Um, so it's just funny, it'd be interesting to know when you talk about the frequency there, that what that is compared to the ocean. But I know that when my son was in the military, I would just go sit there on those days that I just could not take it anymore, when he was in boot camp, and that was the worst 13 weeks of my life.
Yeah.
But I could go sit on the beach because he was gone during the summer to boot camp. I could put my sunglasses on, the tourists are all over yelling, screaming, running. Nobody's paying attention to me. My sunglasses on, I could cry. and
Uh,
then feel those waves. And then I'd be good and I'd go
mm.
home and I'd be okay. So just
Yeah, and here's another piece of information I learned a little bit more about today too. Psychologically, we feel safer when we hear bird song. I didn't put it together, but birds don't sing when it's danger outside. They
right.
sing when it's safe. And
Mhm.
so our nervous system automatically goes into that calm, restful, oh, things are okay. I can relax.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so important.
Anyways, so and so sounds have different frequencies, and those different frequencies affect our emotions or how things are, right?
Yeah, well, there's noise that we categorize in, and there's, more healing sounds we kind of say. And noise is generally super low frequency, like growler jets that we have around here, unfortunately. I mean, I appreciate the military and what they do, but this is viscerally, you can feel it in your body. It's pretty painful. And so there's that low alt, it's called ultrasound, or super high frequencies that are also disruptive that we can't hear, like EMFs, for example, that can be disruptive to us. But in general, noise is categorized as something very disorganized. If you look at waves, sound waves on a computer, analysis, it's called spectrum analysis, you will see noise like this, right? And if you did this same thing with singing bowls, you would see this. Okay, so nice, coherent, flowing, not jagged, not abrupt. And so that's kind of a way to categorize and say that's noise and this is more calming sound, healing sound type of thing. That's why classical music has that. The sun is just doing weird things to my face, so I'm trying to see you. I should have an umbrella. But yeah, there's this sense of what was I saying? Yes, classical music has this reputation for generally for being calming. There's dissonant classical music too, but all you need to do is listen to rap music and nothing against it, but it can be very jarring to the system,
Mhm.
and that's what we see. When you do brainwave, you know, and analyze brain waves on people as they're listening to these different types of music, you'll see what it does, and then you can also see or observe what it's doing to the heart rate, and all of a
Oh,
sudden blood pressure goes up
mhm.
instead of going down when you're listening to calming music. So yeah.
No, that's interesting. You talked about how like the singing bowls kind of have that. I can like just knowing what it from listening to them. Yep, I can see that without even watching it. I can,
You can
yeah,
feel it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Mhm.
I'm sure we'll do a little demo so people can experience
Yes.
it, because that
Yeah.
it's one thing to talk about it, and people often say, "What? Well, why is it called singing bowl, or why aren't they just sound bowls?" Well, because they literally do sing. I can even demonstrate right here. I have one of my favorite bowls here. So if I can just hit it and it sustains a sound, but I can literally do this, and you can see that it's sustaining the sound quite nicely, as if I were singing a song or just holding a tone or humming. So that just comes to me as because people often say, what are you, and what's a sound bath? And
I
it
know.
basically, this idea of just being immersed in sound. It's like being immersed in water. You're being immersed in vibration. Yeah.
And it's unbelievably, I just love it, especially when all the different, sometimes you've heard it's just the singing bowls or crystal bowls but when you get all those, the chimes and the gongs and all those different pieces going into it, I just love to put in my headphones and lay there on my bed and just let it just, yeah, bathe me. And it just makes a whole difference in how I feel too.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, so your body knows.
Mhm.
We can trust our bodies when something doesn't feel right, just like being around a person that feels draining to be around. Oh, you don't have to know why. You just know that this energy isn't comfortable for whatever reason. And then you by comparison, then you definitely, your body knows when you are surrounded by beautiful soothing sound. Your body automatically responds, and we
Yep.
can trust that.
Well, and so the other thing is here is we were talking about this even before, um, going through midlife is when a lot of some of our past stuff comes up, or maybe we're starting to kind of like rethink about what life is, or, because we're doing some changes, we're doing a lot of changes in hormones. And, that has been one of my things too, is how can how can I like feel better? And I change my eating habits. We change this, we change that, but there's always those past traumas, hurts, feelings, negative. And you talked about the generational pieces of it too. And I know some different things I've had. We did emotion codes once. Boy, I've had several generational things be released there. Um, so that's been my thing, is trying to work through it. And talking about your gut health and or any of your health, some of those negative energies hang out in certain spots, and until you start releasing some of those negative energies, you're not gonna really truly heal, I guess I want to say. um so when we did your oh Lord, my brain, your retreat
Yeah.
there, um boy, we went deep into some past stuff, and a lot of our beliefs that we have as adults come from like when we were 3 or younger, or the generational things. And I took my fear of rejection, my I'm not good enough, and went way back and discovered kind of where the root of it was as an infant. um so kind of what we did at the retreat really kind of just built off of what
Hmm.
I had started there too. So, yeah, not only are we getting rid of stress, relaxing, but we can get rid of the negative stuff, the things that we don't need.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's this huge weight. Often people feel after a sound session, they feel just lighter. They look lighter. You can just tell a weight has been lifted. Even if it's just a little weight, and then accumulates. It has accumulated over the years, and then, little by little, we can release that. And so just think about all the energy that is, if you like this idea of in biofield tuning, we say the energy is trapped in our bodies and in the energy field corresponding to that. Think about all that energy that is now trapped, that is released, and what we don't need gets recycled, and then our bodies use it. So, I mean, if you know about the chakra system, you know that these are energy wheels, in a way, energy that lines up with the endocrine system, and that these areas then process certain things that happen to us, right? And our bodies remember it. They store this stuff. And so, for example, if somebody is threatened early on as a child, they'll maybe feel very, very unsafe. And when we're going through the area that's coinciding to the root chakra, that's all about safety, security, belonging. And so that can be very, very early, uh, all the way through the system, through the throat chakra where we express ourselves. Is it safe to say what I really am thinking? Is it safe to express my emotions? If any of that stuff is clogged up or resisted, we are then in resistance to life. We cannot be present to people in a real way. We can't have real relationships. People come to me with relationship stuff and they want to work through their stuff. It really affects everything in terms of who we are and how we relate to others, right? Just from the basics.
Yep, yep,
Just to give a few examples. So yeah.
yeah. Well, let's go ahead and do that demonstration so everybody gets a feel of what this sound bath is like. And if y'all ever do a big full-on sound bath, put in those headphones and just feel those vibrations just going right into you too.
Yeah, and feel what it feels like. Some people have pains and that they find that their pain is gone after some of the sound, hearing being exposed to that. Some people just feel calmer. So just notice what you feel right now
Mhm.
before any of this, even though this is going to be a very short sample, and then we can kind of compare where you feel at. So
Oh, who froze? Oh no, it looks like we froze up with Sharon here. Oh, there we go.
and you can hear that fine, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So just notice the silence after the sound dissipates. And just notice if anything shifted.
I don't know what, I felt it right here in my heart center today, during that heart chakra. I just felt it kind of just vibrating there. So I obviously needed something there, or it was talking to me.
Nice. Well, I did choose a heart bowl, so maybe that was part of the magic there. You just never know.
Yeah, that's right where I felt
Yeah.
it. It was right,
Yeah.
right in there.
Nice. I felt it just below the heart, kind of in the half chakra between the heart and the diaphragm. So like right in the upper diaphragm. Yeah, that's I just feel like my whole breathing has shifted a little bit more relaxed in there. So there was some tension.
I was gonna say, I
So,
just
and I'm feeling my upper back too. Yeah. So be interested. I don't know if you have anybody on with you commenting or questioning, but if there was anybody else, I'd be
yeah.
interested.
Well, we've
But
kind of had people jumping
in
on
case,
and off. So
yeah.
yeah, when somebody was just on. I was hoping I could catch them before they left, but um, this is great. And I don't know, I had this question while we were, oh, I guess kind of your bowls. You had a couple different, like some clear ones and some that looked kind of marbly, stony. Can you kind of just explain those a little bit?
Well, the this one has some color in it because it actually has some earth in it, some Sedona earth. So that's what gives it the color and the quality of the alchemical quality. My other one that's kind of got the pearl sheen to it has more platinum in it. So it's, but it, you see the sunlight is just picking up all the colors there. So that's
Right,
really
that's
pretty.
pretty.
So that's got platinum. Yeah, and then there's the couple of the other ones that are more clear, but they're all high quality crystal
Right.
and combinations of different elements. So yeah.
Yeah. I just love listening to it. Just all of it. It just, yeah.
Yeah, and these are high quality bowls. I mean, you can get the ones on Amazon, but I always tell people, well, you get what you pay for. So,
Exactly.
they're usually a little chunkier, a little more high frequency, I find it a little bit grating on the ear. Um, they're, yeah, they're fine. They don't sustain as well. Like this, I barely touch, I can touch this with my finger and it'll just ring or pick up my voice as I speak. Sometimes it'll resonate so that sympathetically resonates, which is what happens to our bodies. I mean, we resonate with these frequencies. So that's why people feel things in their bodies when they listen. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. There was another thing.
Yeah. So
Oh, I know. I was gonna say, kind of tell people if they are interested in checking this out, how they can get a hold of you. But when we get off here too, go ahead and put all your info into a comment below so that we can, because if you all love this little sample and you really want to feel it, definitely. And you have one coming up Friday, don't you? This Friday, or is it?
No, that was last.
Oh,
You're
this
talking
past
about
Friday.
Serenity Circle. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was last Friday. Yeah, time flies. I
Yeah.
just finished a retreat too, as you know, you were part of that a couple of
Mhm.
weeks ago. I do those quarterly. I have some freebies that if you check my links, you can get free audio for for calm. And also, I have a free retreat called Radically Unbound Retreat that people can access so that they can set their own intention and kind of walk through a little bit. It's a little bit like what we did, but what we did in the live retreat was a little more in depth. And of course, we could focus more on specifics there. People have found it very useful as well. And yeah, you can set up a one-on-one session so you can get a taster basically of more individual focus using tuning forks, particularly. It's a modality that Eileen McCusick has created over decades of her experience and thousands of other practitioners like me out there. And so you can experience that at 40% off. That's the introductory assessment, is basically called a radically unbound assessment and introductory session, basically. So that's all there. So if you want to try that before you commit to anything bigger than that, um, people can certainly get a taste of what it's like to experience it.
Awesome. I love all sorts of different energy work and dealing with all that. And I just like any chance I can get to do so many different modalities of healing. And I love them all.
Yeah. And some people respond better to some than others, right? Some people, I know I do Reiki as well. People don't feel that, but they feel the vibrations from the sound bowls, singing bowls. So yeah, and sound is a form of energy. So they're literally molecules of sound are bumping into other molecules, and that's causes them to vibrate. So it's that sense of very real experience. So yeah, we think of it as just our ear, but it's the brain waves, it's our nervous system, it's our emotions, hits all of those. So yeah, and we forget that we use sound even in medicine. We use ultrasound to diagnose.
Right.
And people are surprised to hear, "Oh, you're kidding? That's sound waves?" Yes, it's called ultrasound. So, and we've all heard of supersonic, right? What the jets make in terms of breaking the sound barrier. That's sound. All of these things we are exposed to on a regular basis, and we just don't think of it that way.
Right. It's energy. We're all energy.
Hmm.
Everything's energy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and we're
Well,
all vibrating at different frequencies.
we want to be vibrating at a high frequency. So, well, I really appreciate you coming on tonight. Like I said, I love doing different energy work, but we just know that through this midlife process and beyond even is just so many different ways to heal. And yeah, I'm trying, I can't say what or think what I'm saying. Needing those, yeah, healing as we've talked about the stress relief. And so
Yeah,
that,
and I mean, I think it's important to remember that as we go through life, and I think as we get older, we realize we want to live every minute of our lives as fully as we possibly can. And so anything that's hindering that is a really good reason to release that. And that's where I'm a firm believer in energy work or sound healing work, because all of that frees us up to really experience in the moment, every moment, because that's all we have. And as we age, we get older, we have a better appreciation for that. But I say, don't wait. If I knew what I know now, if
Mhm.
I'd known that in my 30s, it would have been
Oh,
much more, much better.
right? I know. Yeah, because I know how much things have changed within me as I've gotten rid of some of the whatever is hanging out in me or in my aura here. Um, and the different ways I've done it too. So there's just not one way, like you said, people respond differently. And I know I love this. I love what do you call it? Cranial sacrals.
Yeah, I do that too, cranial sacral work for because I'm also a massage therapist. I
Okay.
guess instead of thinking of getting rid of some of this stuff, I like to think of it integrating it. So, um, because we honestly, some things we'll never be able to get rid of. Somebody who's had a mother that was not there, that literally physically was, in the hospital, was not there when they were a baby. Though that's pretty deep stuff. You're never going to really recover that, but you can learn so much and integrate that in a in a healthy way, I think, and rather than shove it away, compartmentalize it, pretend it never happened. None of that really works. We discover it catches up with you later. So again, I just stress if you can address this stuff however you want to do that, it's better than pretending it doesn't exist.
Yep. And
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard. It's so
it's hard.
hard. Yeah.
It is. It takes courage, and I think that's the thing. I really love working with people who are committed to going down into that stuff. And the beautiful thing about sound is it's non-invasive. It's not like doing surgery, it's not talk therapy. It's pretty relaxing for most people, and you just feel better after. So,
And what I'm gonna say, combining all these modalities with talk therapy is
yes.
great. And I know I did a lot of this stuff. And she's like, you've done half my work for me already, too. She's like, even where I had telling her what I had been doing, she's like, I don't even know, like with talk therapy, if we would have ever gotten to that
Yep.
piece of it.
Yeah, and everybody's different, and I've done my share, believe me. I've done decades of that kind of therapy and alternative therapies, and that whatever it takes. But I agree, and I always say that people, if they're suffering from a mental health issue, they need to have somebody in their wheelhouse that addresses that. That's a professional that addresses that. That's not my area of expertise. So yeah, those work together beautifully, which is why I love Serenity Circle, right? Because there are people hopefully there that also have that. They just need more of a support system, and that's so important.
Yes. Well, and if y'all like Karen and I, we've mentioned a couple times about Serenity Circle, and I know we had Karen on here, right?
Yeah,
Um, did I
okay.
call
I
you
don't know, but
Karen or did I say Sharon?
no, I'm Sharon, but I know who you're talking about when you say Karen. So
No, because I was
Sharon.
like, you and I are on, and so Karen is running this. It's for people who have family members, friends, whoever that are dealing with addictions or mental health conditions. And you're the ones that need the support because you're providing it for everybody else. And this is your place to come. And Karen does so much better job explaining it, but come and work on yourself and filling your cup. And we have so many different modalities there with the sound healing. I work on gut health because there's a gut brain connection. Um, oh my goodness, we have so many different yoga, and it's amazing. So if you ever want to know about that too, just let us know, because that's an awesome space there too.
Yep, that's why we're part of it.
Yep. And that's how I met you.
That's right. See, there you go.
I know.
Supporting each other.
Yep.
Great.
I want to thank you for being on here tonight. This was so good, and it was another great conversation. I just keep having great people on here. So,
Well,
so
it's been fun. Thanks so much for having me.
yes, thank you. And everybody, y'all have a great week, and like go get some Zen on now after this. So, okay. Have a good week.